Hey everybody, Talk of the Town is up and running in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, USA. I'm Scott Montesano, and this is where the Chippewa Valley comes to talk. A gorgeous Thursday if you are listening to us on Friday. Batten down the hatches, another chance for some storms to hit us on Friday, and then a little cooler of a weekend. But boy, the last few days have been nice. Open up the windows in the house, take those walks. Oh, you see a lot of people out for walks during the day, and you got the sounds of spring. It has been gorgeous the last few days, and spring really is invigorating. It gets you going, gets the blood going. And of course, we're happy to have you with us on Talk of the Town. If you have not already, make sure you're checking out all of the great shows with Eau Claire, Hometown Media, and so many others still to come. Some great new ones debuting in the fall. A lot of people coming back throughout the course of the summer into next year, so lots of excitement. If you're watching the video, you see down below Mancino's and their new podcast. That's debuting in just a few weeks. So lots of great excitement here at Eau Claire Hometown Media. And I want to start with this, positivity. There's a lot of negativity that's out there, and negative is always easy to talk about because there's more depth to it. Even if you're sitting around with buddies or you're at the office, when you say, hey, something is good, we're inclined to go, yep, that's good. That's it. We don't want to break down all that was good. When something is wrong, something is askew, something is miss, we want to pull it into the good, and there's a lot more debate about that. And I just wanted to bring this up because I was walking in downtown Eau Claire on Wednesday, and downtown Eau Claire is one of a number of areas around the region that when you pull it back, when you take a moment, it's good. It doesn't mean things are perfect. Rarely is anything, unless you're me, perfect. But it's really good. Living in Eau Claire right now is pretty darn good. Roads are good. Schools are good. Living overall is good. Options are good. Hey, do we always want more? Hey, do we want a little something different? Hey, do we wish something was done X, Y, Z? Absolutely. And the minute you stop striving for things to be better is the minute you stop moving and you're slowly starting to die. But overall, optimism. And you got big thinkers in the area. Just recently on Banker with a Beer, you had Brad Henschel with the City of Chippewa Falls, their planner. We've had Aaron White with the City of Eau Claire talking about all the great projects, and they're always looking for more projects. Housing developments, commercial developments, civic developments. How can we take something, make it better? How can we bring something new to the area? We are an area that has got a lot of optimism and a lot of wind at the sails. And I hope we never forget that. It's easy to sit here and complain about a number of things. But for the most part, things are good. You look at the Eau Claire City Council, for instance. Easy to bag on the Eau Claire City Council. And we look at the budget crunch that the city of Eau Claire is in. And there are a lot of reasons for it. Partially, yes, the state is to blame. And the limits. And you're really seeing that with schools. But municipalities are impacted as well. However, that doesn't mean that there's no blood on the hands of city administrators either. And we can sit here and hem and haw about decisions that were made. But for the most part, you take a step back and things are good. You might be upset about the fact that I think things are good. But things are good. I don't want us to lose sight of that. I've been in areas, lived in areas, visit areas that right now the city of Eau Claire is rounding the bases. You want to use a baseball term? Yeah, they're bringing in a lot of runs. They're having a big inning. There's other municipalities that have got the optimism. They want to have that big inning. They're having a hard time getting a single base runner on. This area, imagine, for those that were around, what this area was like in the mid to late 1990s. Wondering what the next step would be. And probably go back even just to before Uniroyal closed. Because people were wondering what would happen if Uniroyal closed. And there was pessimism. Imagine if that was still what this area is. This area did not go through doldrums all that long. It really didn't, comparatively. So good things going on in Chippewa Falls and in Eau Claire and over in Menominee, and I hope people don't take that for granted. Even something like UW Eau Claire, which again is in the midst of looking for its new chancellor and doing the final public interviews this week, things are good at the university. And that helps out the whole area. If UW Eau Claire was like a number of other schools, and yes, public schools have faced this, not just the privates. If they were a school that was struggling, like an Oshkosh, like a Stevens Point, that too would play into negativity. Instead, lots of positivity in the area. Speaking of positivity, as we move on. So this weekend is the Eau Claire Figure Skating Show. My daughter Alexia, good for her. She's got what they call a feature. First time she's got in one of these. She gets to go on the ice by herself. Not a solo, but she, I guess, goes out for a couple minutes before the rest of her team comes out and then skates. Either way, it'll be fun. 3 straight days of skating at the Hobbs Ice Center, and they've gussied up the place with some extra lighting, and they put rope lighting around the dasher boards, and they hang some of the fancy colored lights and all of that. But I I mentioned this. It's 3 straight nights at Hobbs. And first couple of years we were there, the figure skating club was so large, 8, 9, 10 years ago, that it would take 3 hours. And I always remember the announcer. He was a nice guy. He was on the board or whatever. But the intermission would take 45 minutes because he would make it last 45 minutes. So there was long first part, then like an hour-long break, then a long second part, and it was like a 3.5-hour thing. And then a combination of COVID taking down numbers and people speeding things up, they've gotten the show a lot shorter since then, a couple of hours. Well, last year, I tried to surprise my daughter. I did the announcing. You know, Scott Montesano, best voice in the area. Let's not kid ourselves. All right, you know what? I'm not going to be humble about it. I've got the best voice in the area. You cannot challenge me on that. And again, I got the paper to prove that I had the best voice in Des Moines, Iowa. And I'm sorry, Des Moines, Iowa is larger than Eau Claire. But I digress. I'm going to do the skating. I'm going to do the PA for the show. And partially, too, because I just couldn't stand it the last few years of the show, going back to the previous guy and people they had since, because they read the script verbatim, the exact same way, with the same inflection, 3 straight nights. And the people that are attending the show every single day, it's about 90% the same. That come on Friday night, that go on Sunday. This is not a professional touring show. It's moms and dads and grandparents and family friends, mostly the same from Friday through Sunday. All right, so Scott got the script last year, and the person, nice enough, it was one of my daughter's friends' moms that was running it, and she knew the script to Scott Montesano is a suggestion. So I, every night, did something just a little bit different, but it was nothing. I followed the timing and announced the girls the way they were supposed to be announced or what have you, but I'd throw in an extra joke here and there, a different joke, a different saying each night, and then I really got into it for the girls, almost like I was announcing a batter coming up to bat. Well, my daughter hated it. Yeah, your typical 12-year-old, now 13-year-old, just hated Daddy being a part of it. She didn't like it. And apparently, the rest of the club didn't like it either because I would change the inflection ever so slightly each night. Oh, it really threw the girls off. their timing was off and all this and that. And plus, I was speeding through things because my goal was to get the thing done in an hour and 45 minutes. So apparently, the girls weren't necessarily too fond of me. There was this little old lady that apparently runs the lights. She was not fond of my performance. And I found, I wasn't, I was kind of taken aback by this. At the end of it last year, first off, again, I never got the big thank you from my daughter that I thought I was going to get. Hey, Daddy, you did this? No, I never got the thank you. I just got a dirty look. But in addition, at the end of the whole thing, you kind of wait. You're not getting paid to do it. You kind of wait for the, hey, thank you so much. And usually, not to brag, if I do something like this, I get like, hey, you're the best we've ever had. Hey, you really sounded professional out there. Because I've chewed bigger fish than these tadpoles. And you kind of, I'm ready to pump my chest out. I didn't get one pat on the back. I remember my wife can attest to this. I said it each night. I was like, boy, nobody's coming up saying good job. I've done horrible jobs at places and had people pat me on the back and gone, hey, great job, really enjoyed. Hey, great, you did a great job. Hey, thanks for doing this for the girls or whatever. Thanks for doing it for the kids. You really added a profession. I did not get one bit of it. The closest thing I got to a thanks was my daughter's friend's mom gave me kind of the cursory thanks that she was the organizer last year, so of course she was going to thank me, and I think I got like a $10 gift card to Starbucks, which is not nothing, but all the volunteers that did something every night got that. But I never got like the little old lady that runs the lights there, who made it pretty well known to me that she wasn't necessarily fond of my style. She of course was not going to tell me I did a good job. Parents didn't come up and say, hey, cool job. So no surprise, Uncle Scotty was not invited back this year. So I am not doing the announcing at the figure skating show this year, which is not all in all bad. It's one of those things. Am I upset that I'm not doing it? No, I did it. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever done. I do it again if asked, but I didn't ask to do it again either this year. And plus, I didn't know if I'd be available. There were various things that could have popped up on the schedule, so I couldn't commit anyway for that. But also, I couldn't really see it last year. When you're sitting where you are when you announce, you can't really see it. And this year, I get to at least watch my daughter do it. And if I want to duck out after my daughter's performance, I most definitely can. But Scotty was fired. Makes for a better story. Scotty was fired from the Eau Claire Figure Skating Club's announcing position. Did it once, and they never want me back. It reminds me years ago, and I know she's a follower of Eau Claire hometown media. Years ago, in my brief run, running 99.9, the old Converge radio, one thing always, and boy, I could tell you guys stories now about that, and I'll tell you right now, the little SOB student that got me pushed out, and she ended up going nowhere. But one of the funniest things was, in the brief run that this show was on 99.9, this lady wrote, and I've said this story before, and she's a listener of this program, I believe, at least of some of our others. She wrote on the Facebook page of Converge Media, take that guy off the air. He sounds like a sports announcer. And I remember taking a step back, I remember showing it to other people and going, should I take that, should I take that as a negative? As a bad thing? Like, is that supposed to be bad? That's like somebody coming up to you and saying, oh, thinking they're putting you down. They come up to an Italian grandma and go, oh, this tastes like Olive Garden. Well, you think that's an insult to an Italian grandmother? It's not as much of an insult as you think it is. But I think that's what ended up happening last year. I was too much of a sports announcer for them. All right. A couple other things we want to get to today. The Eau Claire Police Department posted a photo. And this, was kind of a straw that broke the back, but not in a big way. The Eau Claire Police Department, and we've noted before on this program, I'm not too sure I like the fact that they sometimes go minor league baseball-ish with their social media. People, if you run a business, it's one of the main reasons why a lot of businesses come to us for their podcasts. If you make or sell widgets, people go to your website and to your stuff for information on widgets and to get that service. They're not necessarily going to you for entertainment. Now, you can sell your product or sell what you do in an entertaining way, but they're not going to you for strictly entertainment. They're not going to you for a podcast. For instance, they're not going to think of going to your site for a podcast. They're not going to think of going to your site for stories and stuff like that. They're going to go to your site for widgets. And I think with a police department, they sometimes they sometimes forget that. They become too much content creators and not necessarily staying the course of what they could still use. You can still be creative as a police department or anything else. Do get to know yous with the officers, advice for people out there, take photos of stuff when you're out and about in the community and things of that nature. But you don't have to create content. You shouldn't be in the business of creating content. It's also not what we're paying for as a public. We're not paying for you to be a content creator. And the point is, yesterday they posted a video of a person trying to cross a busy street in Eau Claire. And we've seen these kind of videos before of animals and stuff like that. And they had this video of this person trying to cross this busy street, and the person got kind of halfway and then got kind of scared. It was really busy and what have you. And then they kept going. And they were in the crosswalk, so it wasn't like they were criticizing the person. But they're saying, but the post talks about, hey, we believe in you, little guy. Go get him, that kind of thing. Like they were talking, like the person was a duck or whatever. And the video itself doesn't insult me, entertaining and what have you. But just the fact that they put it on their social media, I just don't know. Is this something that really gets Scott's blood going and, should people be fired? No. But I wish they'd kind of stay the course. And I know it's boring. I know it can be boring. But kind of stay the course. Stay in your lane. Remember the old movie? It's an old movie now. 20 years ago. The Will Smith, Kevin James vehicle, Hitch. The whole dancing scene. Just stay in your lane. Keep your hands by your side. Just kind of sway a little bit. That's it. Just stay in your lane and you will be successful. It might not seem as much fun on your end, but you'll be successful. I get trying to humanize for police departments, especially in today's day and age where they want to stay on top public relations-wise. They want the community to, like them, because typically the police are called during people's worst times in their lives, and they want to have the best sort of PR going into it. You want to stay on the community's good side because you want to keep your funding. I get that. But some of it sometimes feels unnecessary. So just stay in your lane. That video was the latest of a few where I go, is that what we're paying the police department for? So just something to keep in mind. Stay in the lane. Stay. And I'm sure some of you out there will go, no, Scott, I love the stuff. And it's up for debate. As I said, I'm not about to start a huge fight over this. This isn't necessarily this isn't necessarily a hill I'll die on, but just something to keep in mind. All right. One other thing I wanted to bring up because this is something that no doubt will be talked about in several weeks and months. But you heard it here first. And for some of you, you're going, oh, I knew it. We're not breaking news here. Data centers and Eau Claire are going to be paired up very soon. That does not mean there is a proposal out there. That does not mean that there is a proposal being kept from everybody. There is no proposal yet. But not only are they coming, many local leaders are praying for it, and one could argue maybe even hunting for opportunities. In a time where raising revenue is key, we've just talked about the City of Eau Claire needs to raise revenue. In a time where raising revenue is key, these are potential solutions. Now, before you get upset about it, here's the thing, folks. When it comes to raising revenue, you've got to listen to all options. Doesn't mean you have to go with all options, but if you're quickly going to poo-poo data centers, then we cannot have a conversation. I'm not saying you have to go along with them. I'm still not 100% on board. But you've got your first instinct cannot be absolutely no. Charlie Barron's is against him. Who gives a flying rip if Charlie Barron's is against him? Most people, even 6 months ago, had no idea how these things operated. So, of course, hey, a lot of people are more inclined to say no as opposed to just pause anyway. But now as we get more information, we have a little bit more data behind stuff. We have a little more information behind it. We can either give a more concrete, knowledgeable no, or be on board with this. And you really, with data centers, have to separate yourself from the nonsense of the political parties. Because remember, this is how much fugazi it is, the political parties, and how they are doing nothing but manipulating a lot of you. Data centers do have, no matter what, some environmental concerns. Yet the Democrats, who tend to lean more tree huggerish, they're all for them. They're all for them. Wait a second, that doesn't sound right. Data centers are the epitome of big money. They're the epitome of big corporate money. Republicans are all for big corporate money. Not here. It's all because, and you can go back through, folks, whoever took a side first and the other side felt they had to be against it. So whether you're a conservative or a Democrat, forget about whatever your party's leaders are doing and don't think that's what I should believe. It's a lost cause right now on that. Here's the thing with data centers and Eau Claire. Albeit with controversies, neither side can claim it's a no-brainer. And here's what you're going to start getting, and you're already starting to get in Eau Claire. They're laying the groundwork. Julie Toney with Exo Energy has been out there doing a PR push. Other leaders are going to start doing the same thing. They're laying the groundwork to start to sell people on these things before the proposals come. Just keep an eye out for that. Now, hey, this is what I'm saying. You can't just automatically say if I'm for it. You can't say I'm against it. And we have to lay out the ground rules as to what we want and what we're okay with. Hey, people were worried about electricity 100 years ago. Oh, this electricity is going to ruin us all. I'm sure water mills freaked people out 200 years ago. Risk versus reward. Now, to those that are against it, you've got to keep an open mind. Don't automatically start being negative and no and pounding your fist on the table. And I know these things because some of the things that you are against with data centers are not necessarily accurate. You've got to, instead of blindly throwing out things, have tangible concerns you've seen from other markets and asked, this happened in Philville, why is it not going to happen here? That's what you've got to bring to the table. If you just say, it's going to ruin the water, that's too basic. It's the old argument you'd have from people saying communication's been poor. No, that's a smoke bomb, a smoke screen, and an argument to slow things down while you try to gather up other arguments. No, have tangible things you've seen. Not, well, I know so and so, so and so, and so and so. That doesn't matter. No, what research have you done? Not looked at Fox News, not looked at MS Now. What actually concerns you with it? Real concern, and not concern that I'm concerned about this, so I'm automatically a no. No, how would this be handled? If you're against it, that's what you got to do. To those that are advocating, to the advocates, and I've already heard it a bit from people like Aaron White and from Julie Toney, this idea that anybody that's against it's an idiot. No, you can't do that. And I know that's not what they're saying, but you're implying it. And if that's not what you're trying to imply, it comes across that way. Anybody against this is just some hick, is kind of the implication. You get that a lot in Menominee. And that's a whole other thing. That thing was poorly sold to begin with. That's a lost cause. And once you go down the path that it went there, then it's not worth it for a community. Because at the end, the community has to be on board with this. To those advocating, as they are doing now, the sales process starts now, before there is that actual proposal. Many will point out jobs, and it's not you cannot deny it. There are a lot of jobs that come with building a data center. Yes, lots of them for 7 to 10 years. And after you don't have that many, but they're very well paying jobs, that's not up for debate. So you can bring the jobs to the table as a benefit, but there is a real concern people have when it comes to this. Is it a little fugazi? Those against it will cite, are these out-of-town workers coming and going? Is the money simply being sent back home? And back home doesn't mean nefariously, Mexico. It could mean Chicago, Mason City, Iowa, Wahpeton, North Dakota, whatever. Are these people coming here for 6 months, working, sending money someplace else, and we're not, sure, they're coming in and buying some burgers at McDonald's, but are we really seeing a huge benefit to all these workers coming in? And yeah, cool, they're going to fill up the hotel rooms. That doesn't sell people in this. That's not going to sell people on it. So if you're going to sell us on the jobs a data center brings, you're going to have to show that it's going to be a long. People want blood in the ground here. They want people that have got 10 toes down. People that are coming in, how much are we really going to benefit from that? How much will we actually benefit from that? And you've got it. Maybe we're wrong on it. Look at the other places. What true benefit did they get other than just the numbers? Don't just tell me XYZ number of people are going to work on it, are going to come in to build it. What's the quality behind it? The other is environment. And many that are for these data centers are quick to say there is no impact on the environment, especially nowadays, and this and that, and the water is all closed circuit water and what have you. If you are so sure it's okay, then be okay with levies and limits and other things. In fact, propose them. To you, they may seem ridiculous. I don't need XYZ limit of this. I'm only going to use a small fraction of it. But if you believe the concerns are overblown, then you'll have no problem staying within the lines. That's how this thing is going to be sold. The sad reality is, here's how they'll be sold. We need this for money. I don't want this. They're stupid. They're going to take up places. They're going to be boondoggles, and birds are going to be flying into them like the windmills and blah, blah, blah. Person comes back and goes, you're a hick and don't want progress. Other person comes back and says, you're a woke SOB. No. If you are already saying, I don't want data centers in Eau Claire, then you've got to come to the table with actual reasons why not. True things you've seen in other areas. And frankly, what are some other suggestions you have to raise the revenue? If you are for data centers, you've got to come. People with data centers are quick to say all concerns are overblown. You've got to prove it. You've got to prove it. It can't just be trust me. All right. We're back with you next week. Another couple editions of Talk of the Town then. On behalf of everyone who made this podcast possible, I'm Scott Montesano saying there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. Make sure to take advantage of it. And until next time, so long, everybody.